This is John Cannon, and I am here to do the 10,000 mile review on my Toyota 4Runner. I have done the 5,000 mile review after the last annual service, the service maintenance, the recommended maintenance that I took it to the Toyota place. I'm actually in an Alabama campground, and I did take it to service before we left for this trip, but I wanted to make sure I did my 10,000 mile review since I'm trying to do one every 5,000 miles on this vehicle. So we bought it brand new, and you can find my first review here on my site. The service was at the Toyota place there in Asheville, North Carolina. This service included a oil change, tire rotation. It was just a basic service. They did not do an oil change at the 5,000 mile service. They only do them at the 10,000 mile service. Now what's interesting though is I noticed 0 to 5,000 miles, I was averaging about 18.3 miles to the gallon. Now our driving habits have not really changed, but from 5,000 to 10,000, I noticed that that number began to drop, and now I'm averaging about 18.1, 18.0 miles per gallon. Obviously I'm towing a trailer on this trip, which will reduce those miles per gallon. That has not changed. That 18.0 to 18.1 really set in at about 6,500, 7,000 miles, and is where it began to drop, and then it's held pretty solid there at the 18.0 to 18.1 from there. Now that's obviously what the computer calculates. That's not a calculation from actual fill-ups, but that's what the computer is calculating in miles per gallon. So we'll take that accuracy for what the computer accuracy is. But it is a drop of 2 miles per gallon from 5,000 to 10,000. Now, is that from the oil, from not changing the oil, or is it from some other reason? I don't know. Maybe it's the, because that did include some winter driving in North Carolina, where maybe there's a winter mix in the gas, and so therefore I lost some miles per gallon. So anyway, we're now at the 10,000 mile mark on this vehicle. I'll talk about the interior very briefly. Interior carpets are extremely hard to vacuum. If you want to keep your car super clean, Toyota needs to do something about the carpets. It is very difficult to vacuum and actually get the dirt out of them. My Jeep is far easier to get the dirt out of the carpets. What else on the interior? The GPS navigation unit is a nightmare. It is not intuitive. It is not super easy to use. It's not friendly to use. It's a little counterintuitive. It's kind of like all those people back in high school that bought the HP calculators. It's like all those people in high school that bought the HP calculators and that have the reverse nomenclature and say how easy it is to use. It takes some figuring out to get the navigation unit working the way you want it to, and then to save stuff. If you don't do it in the right sequence, then you got to start over and do it again. I don't find it easy to use. The other thing about the navigation is that the screen, and you'll have to excuse the mess, we are traveling. The screen on it right here is very difficult to see. If in the morning hours, like it is now, it's about 6:10 in the morning, you take off and you're driving and you can see it great. As soon as the sun comes out and gets 10 a.m., 9:30, 10 a.m., all the way into the late evening, you can't see this screen. The light comes in the windows in such a way, and the screen is tilted back just slightly. It's not vertical, it's tilted back just slightly, and you can't see where you're navigating. So as you're driving along all the time, you're holding your hand up like this, you're doing this, so that you can see it. You put down your sun visors, you put down whatever, and you can't see the screen. And so that makes it very difficult to use. What else on the interior that's bad? Really, that's it. This navigation unit and the carpets are hard to vacuum. Now, The carpets, you may say, well, who cares if they're hard to vacuum? I don't plan to. It's an SUV. I don't plan to use it that way. That's fine. We like, especially when we're traveling, I like a nice clean vehicle. So the carpets, vacuuming them out and making sure that they don't stink, I do appreciate that, especially with a new vehicle. I do have a chip in the windshield, and I used some Permatex material, which I think I did a video on that, and that chip has not grown, and so I'm happy with that. We'll keep watching that. Rest of the interior, pretty happy with. Exterior, we have picked up a few chips, dings, parking lot things, not a big deal. I can buff most of those out from watching the Ammo NYC videos. You can buff those out and clean it up. It's a little dirty right now. It is a two-wheel drive vehicle. With the sort of traveling we do, we don't take it off-roading. I've just not had an issue, not been stuck. Rides comfortably, very happy with all of that sort of stuff. It's a pretty smooth riding SUV, smoother than my Jeep Wrangler of the same year. Quite comfortable. The seats are fine. We take regular 4, 5, 6 hour trips. Every now and then we'll take an 8 or 9 hour trip in a day, and the seats are comfortable, and we're very happy with that. So I don't have any complaints on that. You know, after 6 or 7 hours, you'll notice that you'll squirm a little, have to reposition once in a while, but in the seat. But really, what seat can you sit in for 6 and 7 hours and not have to wiggle a little and reposition in order to be more comfortable? We drove from the Asheville, North Carolina area down to Birmingham, Alabama on 1 tank of gas, and that is coming through Atlanta, although traffic was not bad. So even though I talked about miles per gallon, I'm pretty happy with the trips I'm able to take with it. Very happy with the vehicle. Glad to have it. Glad it runs and works the way it does. Have had no mechanical failures. Have had no issues at the 10,000 mile mark that we've needed to take it into, and so I really have few complaints about the vehicle. I would give it, you know, mainly all praise if it wasn't for the carpet and the GPS unit. Oh, and the other thing with the GPS unit is the clock. It's got this feature on it. You know, it connects to your phone as far as the infotainment, I think is what they call it. But there's a problem with it, with the clock. When it's got a daylight savings feature on it, and instead of automatically changing for daylight savings time, you know, where you set the toggle and it says, oh, use daylight savings time. Normally you set the toggle and then it changes, or it matches your clock because you think your phone, because it's connected to your phone. Well, in this case, in order to use daylight savings time feature, that little toggle is actually an on and off, and all the toggle does is it changes your clock by 1 hour. And so for the longest time, the clock was off an hour, and I kept going and looking for where to change it because I thought I'd screwed up the daylight. You know, I had it off on my daylight savings time feature. I couldn't figure out why it was toggled on, and it said, you know, I thought, oh, it's going to automatically change. Well, why is it not automatically changing? Well, it doesn't automatically change. You have to go in and press that daylight savings time feature, and then it automatically changes your clock 1 hour for you. And then in the fall, when you pass through that time again, you go and you click the button and it changes it 1 hour for you back. So it's kind of a weird toggle. Instead of being automatic, you know, like your computer or your phone, it just doesn't do that. You have to manually change it. Even though the infotainment system is set to your phone, it doesn't change it. And there's 2 clocks in the vehicle, and the other clock you have to manually change. So that's kind of a weird feature too. Other than that, we're very happy with the vehicle, and really are satisfied with it. So that's the end of this 10,000 mile review. I'll be back at 15,000 miles to give any other thoughts and ideas, anything that we've had to do with the vehicle I'm debating at the 15,000 mile of going ahead and doing an oil change, even though Toyota doesn't do it automatically as part of their recommended maintenance. If I do an oil change, the reason I'm thinking about it is to do a test on the miles per gallon. I may not. It all depends on how those miles per gallon run as we go through the summer months, to see if there's some other reason that maybe that dropped. As far as the Toyota dealer, Fred Anderson, I was more than satisfied with how they treated me. I did watch. They have big windows in the garage bays. They lifted the vehicle. I watched them drop the oil out, put new oil in, rotate the tires. So they seem to do everything that they said they did on their paperwork, and so I have no reason to say anything bad about the dealership. The entire cost of it, it was free because it's part of Toyota Care for that first 25,000 miles, but the entire cost of it was listed on the invoice. It would have been a $90 something visit to rotate the tires, change the oil, and do all the other checks, which for a fellow who has changed his oil all his life, that seems mighty pricey to me. But you know, the reality is you get a good synthetic oil even on sale at Advance or AutoZone, and you're going to be in your oil change 40 or 50 bucks. Well, on sale you can sometimes get it for 35 or 40, but you're going to be in at 40 or 50. If you're an AMSOIL person, you're going to be in an oil change 50 or 60 or $70. So 90 for that sort of thing when they use synthetic oil. I'm sure it's not the greatest synthetic oil, but they use synthetic oil nonetheless, is what they claim. It is probably not all that bad of a price when it includes a tire rotation and the other things that they did. Took me, I got there at 7 again in the morning, and I was out by 8:45, so it took about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, which is a little long considering at home I can change my oil in 15 minutes. And if I want to be real meticulous and let it drain and drip out for a while, you know, it takes a little longer, but then I can go do other stuff. So it's kind of a long time to sit there for an oil change, tire rotation, but they did it, and they didn't charge me anything other than my time. So I have no reason to complain about the dealership, and so I'm happy with that. So anyway, that's a Toyota 4Runner, 2018 Toyota 4Runner, and that'll wrap up my review for the 10,000 mile oil change.